I was very lucky to have a good business career which tied in with civic work. A banker has to be chairman of the chamber, head of the United Way, something like that. I chose the chamber, and the executive committee and the chamber board decided we'd do everything we could to end the last vestiges of segregation in this city.
When I think about Bill Bond, the first word that comes to my mind is friend. The second is courage. The third is why. Social progress, I think, is made on the shoulders of those who have nothing to gain other than to see things done right and be right. And that's Bill Bond.
Back in 1987, the city of Jacksonville did not close for Martin Luther King's birthday. A lot of the business people in town had all sorts of pejorative names about the holiday, and we tried to overcome that. I was very fortunate to have a mentor in racial relations, Ronnie Ferguson, who was head of the Urban League here. And I wasn't on the board of the Jacksonville Urban League. My wife, Sandy, was. And Ronnie said, Bill, after we had done a lot of these things together, he said, do you want to go on the national board? And I said, yeah, I think that would be very, very interesting. And we went to meetings around the country.
I remember him and Sandy came back from a Morehouse College visit and said, Ronnie, we got to do something. We don't do anything to celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday here in Jacksonville. And he pulled me and a guy named Luke Sadler, who was the chamber's attorney, and I pulled in Willie Dennis, and from that came the Martin Luther King breakfast.
I was the first person who was white to get the Urban League's Clancell Brown Award. I don't necessarily know that I deserved it, but I took it on behalf of the chamber and all of the people that worked with us.
I remember him in '92 when Judge Santora made national news in the New York Times for his attitude towards the black community, and Bill was in the front saying, no, we can't have this. I remember him marching with Jesse Jackson. And I looked at him, I said, you know, you're risking a lot. You have no real reason to do that other than to do the right thing. And if that doesn't endear you to a person, nothing will.
I knew OneJax tried to bring people together. I had lunch with Celeste Kruger, who was then the executive director, and I invited myself on the board. So I said, if you need another board member, I'm happy to do it. I got on the board then, and then they decided to start a senior advisory council. And I was getting pretty senior by that time. So they asked me to start it, to convene it, and to choose members. So I did that, and I got a lot of wonderful people on that board. I think OneJax is well worth supporting for everybody who is interested in Jacksonville and outcomes around here.
Bill has just made himself a part of my life and allowed me to be a part of his life. My family loves him. My daughter, my son asks about him all the time. My son speaks to him often. And I've got a number of grandsons, but I've got one in particular who's a West Point graduate, and he does not come home without asking, when can we meet with Bill? So he's become family.
I wouldn't give my life more than a B, maybe a B+. I didn't do anything particularly outstanding. I think, as my father would say, I was probably a good citizen, and that's about it.
I think Bill will be remembered as a person who stood up when he didn't have to, who walked when he wanted to, who gave when he felt it would do some good, who believed in equality for all mankind and worked to see that happen.
I would like to thank, first of all, my wife, Sandy, who's been a partner in everything that we've done for the last 48 years. I'd certainly like to thank Ronnie Ferguson, who has been a partner and a colleague of mine on all of our civil rights issues. I have other great family members that mean a lot to me. Meta McGebney, my first cousin Edward Lane, my brother Tolliver, and so many others. Billy Walker, who was chairman of the Atlantic Bank and First Union. All of these people inspire you, and so many more. Certainly all of these people are very meaningful to me. I'd also like to thank OneJax for getting this award. As I mentioned earlier, I give myself only a B in life, but I thank them very much for awarding me this award when I only deserve a B. And I also want to thank all the other humanitarians who have come before us and the 4 others that are getting awards at this particular ceremony. Those people are really to be admired and to be an inspiration to all of us.